In this week's movies, Trouble with the Curve, End of Watch, and How to Survive a Plague. The documentary How to Survive a Plague is a story about the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power. This aggressive gay activist organization, better known as ACT UP, was formed in New York in 1987.
We are trying to arouse to anger and action.
In his review, Stephen Holden writes, "The film is a briskly paced, straightforward chronology made up largely of footage shot mostly by the protesters and told in their voices.
To help save our lives.
Their efforts were met with indifference and hostility from wary politicians.
I wish they'd shut their mouths and get their mentality out of their crotches."
The group collaborated with pharmaceutical companies like Merck in the development of new drugs. Sophisticated pharmaceutical cocktails have since made AIDS a chronic, manageable disease for those who can afford the protocol. The death rate plummeted. The success of ACT UP might serve as a template for other movements like Occupy Wall Street, whose protesters also put their bodies on the line, but many of those protesters are not fighting the personal, immediate life-or-death battles faced by members of ACT UP, who quite literally saved their own lives.
We don't know where they're taking us. We're here because this government has the resources to deal with the AIDS epidemic, and they won't do it unless we force them.
I got him. Try to run. Pit him, man. Pit him.
End of Watch is an action film about two Los Angeles police officers, played by Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena.
Dude, are you gonna hook up with a Mexican girl?
They're trying to hook me up with them, dude.
In her review, Manola Dargis writes, "End of Watch is a muscular, maddening exploitation movie embellished with art house style and anchored by solid performances."
Waking up in the morning, they'd be like,
"Hey, can I tell you a story?
I know.
Here's a story about this, and a story about that, and a story about this, a story about that."
But dude, all you gotta do is this. All you gotta do is this.
Director David Ayer has said he wanted his work to look like YouTube. Happily, it just looks and plays like a mainstream narrative movie with a lot of super shaky run-and-gun imagery. Mostly, End of Watch is about men loving each other and fighting the evil that other men do. Some of that wickedness is grimly familiar from the news and other films, and almost all of it is committed by the black and mainly brown people on the one side of the blue line.
¿Hablas inglés o español?
I want you to drive straight to the airport, because I don't need your pointy little nose in my business.
Trouble with the Curve is a baseball movie featuring Clint Eastwood, who plays Gus Lobel, a longtime scout for the Atlanta Braves. In his review, A.O. Scott writes, "The movie is easygoing and unsurprising. Gus's eyesight is failing, and his job is threatened by a younger front office hotshot.
He may be ready for pasture."
If you have seen Space Cowboys or Gran Torino or any number of other late-period Eastwood movies, you know that cantankerous wisdom will triumph over youthful smarts.
Gus, have you thought about what you might do when your contract's up?
Sure. Sign another one for more money.
You also know that at least one member of the younger generation will be the object of tenderness rather than contempt.
I did what I thought was right. I just didn't want you to have life in the cheap seats.
In this case, Gus's protege and foil is his daughter, Mickey, played by Amy Adams.
Spending every waking moment with my dad watching baseball, eating food that was no good for me, playing pool, staying up too late. Those were the best seats in the house.
Justin Timberlake shows up to provide a feeble romantic spark and a hint of generic sex appeal.
Hey, what do you think about dinner?
You mean together?
Whoa, that's a little forward, don't you think? But yeah, if you're asking me out, I accept. I'd even consider paying.
Originality is for punks. As a filmmaker, Mr. Eastwood is a master of reviving tired genres and finding truth and soul in cliches. Robert Lawrence, who has worked with Mr. Eastwood as a producer and assistant director for many years, hews close to the master's style in his directing debut.
The 3-2 pitch. This one's hit deep to center, way back. Way back, this baby's got a chance. It's gone, home run. Bernie Carbo has just tied the game. Bernie Carbo has just tied the game.